Hello, Forest Park. Last week we talked about King David and the Ark of the Covenant and the 6 careful steps of faith, and then David dancing with all of his might. The story continues with David's undignified behavior when he gets back to his city with the ark. He was still dancing in celebration of what God had done. 2 Samuel 6 says that David returned to bless his household, but Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, "How the king of Israel honored himself today, uncovering himself today before the eyes of his servants, female servants, as one of the vulgar fellows shamelessly uncovers himself." Well, David said to Michal in response, "It was before the Lord who chose me above your father and above all his house to appoint me as prince over Israel, the people of the Lord, and I will celebrate before the Lord. I will make myself yet more contemptible than this, and I will be abased in your eyes. But by the female servants whom you have spoken, by them I will be held in honor." You see, David had just finished celebrating the Lord, bringing the ark to its designated place in the tent. He was so overjoyed to see God blessing the Israelites that he offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings. He then blessed the men and women alike throughout all of Israel by providing them with food to take home to their families. Not just any little food, but a substantial portion, including bread and meat and a cake of raisins. And as David entered the city, his wife, Michal, watched from her window and watched David dance in the street. She despised him because of his actions. She was embarrassed to watch her husband, the king, humiliate himself by dancing the way that he did for everyone to see. Since he was the king, her expectations were that he would behave like a king, noble and mature and strong and wise and honorable. When Michal approached David, she was sarcastic, she was disrespectful, criticizing his behavior. David pointed out to her that God chose him above her father to lead Israel. And David's response was one of correction and rebuking. He stated that he would become even more humiliated and contemptible before the Lord. Now, while David and Michal were both witnessing the same expression of David's worship, their interpretation of what was good and proper was radically different. Look at how different David and Michal's responses are. David worshiped God. Michal judged David. David was elated towards God. Michal despised David. David abandoned his nobility, prestige, and position to worship the Lord. Michal showed no regard or recognition of God. David sacrificed to the Lord, and Michal scrutinized David. Michal saw only how other people would perceive David. David tried to please God and ignore people's perspectives. Michal tried to please people and ignore God's perspectives. It is such a natural tendency for us to focus on people rather than God, most especially during worship. For Haley and I, the struggle right now is kids running around, making messes and arguing, not being dignified or reverent at all while we are worshiping online together. I find this pull within myself to correct behavior or pick something up off the floor instead of placing my sole focus on worship. If God really is great, if Christ really is risen, if the Holy Spirit is inside me, calling me to worship, then shouldn't I be so focused on giving God glory that I become undignified and lavish in my praise? What is stopping me? Well, I don't want people to think I'm weird. The question today is this: do you focus more on pleasing God or pleasing people? And it is my prayer for you today that you can say along with David, "My worship is before the Lord, and I will celebrate the Lord." Hope you have a great day.